Nairobi produces over 500 tons of plastic waste every single day. Most of it ends up where it shouldn't, in rivers, in landfills, on fire. And Nairobi isn't alone. Across the African continent, plastic warps around daily life like second skin. It flows through drainage pipes. It turns markets street. But here there's the truth. Africa isn't the largest producer of the plastic. It's simply where the waste ends up. Because recycling infrastructure is broken, and in many places it never existed to begin with. Mountains of plastics, foreign and domestic, grow taller than schools. The poorest live close to it. They breathe it, walks through it, raise their children beside it. And while the world offers statistics and summits, one young woman in Nairobi decided that was enough. She didn't wait for permission, she didn't wait for funding. She didn't wait for someone's care. In her backyard, surrounded by plastic bottles and sand, she started building. No theories, no speeches, bricks. Stronger than concrete, lighter than stone, and made entirely from waste the world tried to forget. Her name is Nzambi Matee, and this is no story about trash. It's a story about vision, about bold African innovation, and about the power of building something that no one believed was possible.
Let's turn trash into cash.
Before the bricks, before the headline, before the awards, Nzambi Matee was just a guy who noticed things. She noticed how same street corner had the same pair of plastic bottles week after week. She noticed how no one cleaned up and how everyone learned to step around it. Where others saw waste, she saw pattern. She studied material science in Kenya, and she earned a scholarship to study in the US. She was brilliant, the kind of person corporation chase, and she got the job. She worked in oil and gas, comfortable salary, a stable career. But every day she looked out the window and saw the same waste building up back home. One day she quit, no backup plan, no rub, just a problem she couldn't ignore anymore. In 2017, she began building a tiny lab in her mother's backyard in Nairobi with salvaged parts and borrowed tools. She created their first plastic shredder. It broke. She built another. That one broke too. But she didn't stop. She spent months testing how plastic behaves under pressure, under heat, under different mixes with sand. She learned by failing. Dozens of times she padded the mix. Other times it crumbled. Sometimes it looked light until it got wet and collapsed. But each failure taught her something. What temperature was too high? What kind of plastic worked best? Which mix had its shape? And which one cracked under time? Her neighbors thought she was wasting her time. Some laughed. Some wondered how she's getting burned. Literally, but in 2019, something changed. One batch came out clean, solid, durable, no chemical residue, no cracking. It was light. Nzambi had created something remarkable. A brick made from plastic waste and sand, compressed into form stronger than concrete, and 5 to 7 times cheaper to produce. Nzambi Matee is not waiting for the future. She's building, one brick at a time. Nzambi Matee didn't just invent a brick. She built a model, a local solution with global potential. No designed in think tank, no dreamed up in a corporate boardroom, but in backyard in Nairobi, with our hands, with trash, with nothing but belief. Our company Nzambe makers started with one goal: recycle plastic, turn into something useful, and make that solution affordable for the people who need it most. Today, they recycle over 30 tons of plastic every month. That is 30,000 kilograms that won't end up in the ocean, in landfill, or burning on the street. The bricks are vibrant, long-lasting, and built to survive Nairobi's lanes, heat, and foot traffic. They're used in schools, sidewalks, roads, and public spaces. Each one tells a story. A plastic bottle that wasn't thrown away, a wrapper that didn't become smoke in the air, piece of waste, turned into something supports life. But the bricks are only half the story. Nzambi isn't just solving climate problem, she's solving a social problem too. Unemployment in Kenya is high, especially for the youth and especially for women. At Nzambe, the factory doesn't just produce bricks, it produces opportunity. Young people from underserved communities come here to work and learn. They are taught mechanical engineering, machine maintenance, quality control, skills that go beyond the job, skills that can carry them through life. And this isn't charity, it's economic empowerment. They earn, they contribute, they grow. This is how circular economies are supposed to work. Waste becomes a value, workers become skilled, and the community becomes resilient. In a world obsessed with scale and speed, Nzambi took a different approach. She scaled with intention, slowly, carefully. She made sure every part of the process, from plastic collection to the final brick, to the people on the factory floor, was sustainable, not just environmentally, but humanity. She could have moved to US. She could be living in Silicon Valley pitching plastic to billionaires. But that's not the mission. Our problems are here, Shwan said, and the solutions must come from here. Her story has sparked the way for local innovation. Young people across Africa are taking on waste, plastic, e-waste, textile, and transforming it into furniture, into roads, into art. They are not waiting for foreign aid or NGO approval. They are taking the same material that once symbolized decay and turning them into future. Gender impact is now spreading. Partnership with schools, pilot project in rural areas, talks with governments. The dream isn't to be biggest. The dream is to be replicated. To prove that small, local, sustainable factories can fight poverty, pollution, and unemployment all at once. And maybe in the future, there will be Nzambe in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Rwanda, in South Africa, each using their own waste, their own labor, their own vision. Because Nzambi never set out to be a savior. She set out to be a spark. Nzambi Matee didn't ask for permission to solve a problem. She didn't wait for a grant. She didn't write proposal. She didn't wait for someone in sweet tell her she was qualified. Because when your streets are overflowing with plastic, when your future feels like it's buried under trash, you act. And that's the heart of her story. Not just innovation, but agency. The idea that you don't need to be given power to start using it. While the world was debating sustainability on stage, Nzambi was melting plastic in her backyard. While development agencies discussed the circular economies, she was building one. While tech billionaires searched for a problem to solve, she was solving one right outside her door. She didn't have the resources. She didn't have the network. She didn't even have a proper lab. But she had something bigger, clarity. She understood the problem and she believed she could do something about it. And that's the essence of African innovation. Not flashy, not funded, but fierce, fragile, and focused. For too long, Africa has been as a place that receives the solutions, not one that creates them. Nzambi Matee flipped the narratives because she didn't ask the world what it needed. She asked their community what it lacked, and she built it. She's not trying to go viral. She's not chasing crowd. Her work speaks quietly, paved the schoolyards, in the safe walkways, in the jobs she has created, and in the mind she inspired. Proof that you don't need to be loud to be revolutionary. When the world thinks of innovation, it imagines apps, software, and cloud computing. But in Nzambi, remind us, real innovation doesn't always come from code. Sometimes it comes from a waste, from hot plate and grinder, from a girl who asked, "What if we stop throwing it all away?" The most powerful part of Nzambi's story is this. Anyone could have done it, but no one did until she did. And that's a lesson, not just for Kenya or Africa, but for every person who thinks they're too small to math. You don't have to wait, you don't need perfect conditions, you don't need permission, you just need to start. In time where we measure success by followers and funding, Nzambi Matee built something real, tangible, solid, something that holds weight literally. She didn't serve the market, she built a future. And it's a lighter, stronger, and more beautiful than anyone expected. This isn't just a story about plastic or poverty or pollution. This is a story about power. the power to fix what others ignored, the power to imagine something better and then make it real. Nzambe Matee didn't just clean up her seat. She challenged the world the idea of what African can be. No waiting, no pleading, but leading one brick at a time. Thank you for watching. If you find this video powerful, just hit like. See you. Cheers.